why are you walking up?
Yeah.
I was and as a matter of fact, I was in the gym and but I had been at a party the weekend before, and somebody that I had met at the party happened to go to the gym, but he wasn't in the right place. So when he came up to me, he was all like, "Hey, Merle, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh my God, this guy knows my name." Grab your wallet. This guy's trying to rip me off.
I am so horribly self-conscious about that. Now, we have a ton to go over, so let's just throw a few things out here and let's see what happens. You and I discussed, Merle, that we want to kick off the show with foods produced here versus Europe and the effects on our health. I think that's just very spontaneously important to what is going on today in our media.
Oh, yeah.
And, for what it's worth, I want to talk about, just throw out the unbelievable amount of crap we have for current events right now. I think we're going to have to prioritize. And
I agree. I got too much.
Yeah, and you threw out, you want to talk about U.S. assault on free speech, Space Force, love that. Free energy, love that. 5 lies of CRT, I'd throw that one down lower in the priority list. And effects on tariffs on purchasing, again, I would throw that down. I have some stuff on perverted.
That's kind of the order that I have, actually. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, perverted old men and perverted old women in our society. Some pertinent things going on. We definitely will get to those. Dude, we're going to have to just talk a little bit about the Epstein files. What is going on there? The disappointments there. Yeah. I have a hypothetical, a Tesla keying incident hypothetical. If we get to it.
I like that.
Yeah. If we get to it.
Some thoughts on that.
Good. Then we'll definitely get to that. If we get to it, we'd like to talk about Mark Carney's win in Canada and just what a fail.
I can't even believe that happened.
Huge fail all over the place. What I'd like to end with, man, I got to show you a video. This is a lighter side. It's a little dark though. Did you see the video from the Pirates game about this dude falling off the second balcony?
What?
No. Yeah, man, I had to look it up. I'm spoiling it already because I thought it was fake. Like I thought somebody took like a diver that does the end over end.
Yeah. And like AI in there.
Yeah, and I thought so. This was 3 days ago. It really happened. Yeah, some drunk dude. Yeah. It's so we got the whole thing on tape. But it's just a lesson, and you got to watch drinking, man.
That's it, man. You know
that's what it was about.
I was just talking to somebody the other day about how I found out I have a fear of heights. I don't know if it's a fear of heights or a fear of
dying
at the bottom. That's kind of really more what it is.
Yeah.
But just before we went to the Grand Canyon a couple of years ago, I accidentally saw a video of a drunk guy standing over he was climbing all around doing stuff he wasn't supposed to do.
I know where this is going.
And everybody was like, "Don't do that." And he was F you and all this kind. Well, of course, he fell and died. And it was just terrifying. And I couldn't get that out of my head when we went to the Grand Canyon. And it was my body would run into a force field. I could not get any closer.
Dude,
I was like 25 yards away. I'm like, that's good.
Survival instinct. And I know because you get a little wobbly over there anyway. Do you want to be within 6 feet of that and then wobble?
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever tripped over an air brick before? I mean, what if one of those was over there?
Yeah, no, I don't think I have. But boy, because I tend to drag my feet a little bit, I've noticed I can trip over the smallest thing in a sidewalk.
Yeah, I can trip over nothing. And I don't want to trip over nothing at the edge. I'm so paranoid. But anyhow, I got
okay. So just tying that whole drinking thing is because that really was a problem drinker that we will see the video at the end. But I want to share something very quickly because last night I just did some updates for this client, the KISS Foundation, and that is Keep It Simple Sobriety. And dude, before this person was referred to me, this organization, I didn't know this existed. So I'm going to plug them because they're at the top of my mind. We were also just talking about drinking problems.
Yeah.
And I am sure that these things exist everywhere across this country. But so, as I said, I didn't know this existed. And what this is, the KISS Foundation is on the near west side of Cleveland, and they have a level 1, 2, and 3 housing for drug and alcohol recovery for men in the
Huh.
Cleveland area. Real life picture of them. And I was just updating there, and there are all of these are descriptions of what goes on here. To make it short, there's a lot that I've learned during the tenure of this podcast and interviewing Paul Fulmer, who, AKA Ray Vance, that's his author name. He wrote a book about his recovery into sobriety. It was a hell of a journey. And he was
Usually is.
he was the first that taught me that alcohol and benzodiazepines, two things you could die from trying to recover. So
I
you
don't know what
may
the second thing was.
benzos are typical drugs that affect your nervous system. They're used for a variety of things: depression,
Huh.
anxiety, sleep, painkillers, all kinds of things. They're super highly addictive, like
Oh,
alcohol. If you get to the point where you're physically addicted to alcohol, you have to go to a treatment center for recovery for usually like 30 to 60 days, something like that. Then from there, you can apply to come to a place like this. And you start off free housing, and you work up to the point where you get a part-time job after
uh-huh.
some months. You can read up on this at kissfoundation.com. And I was working on last night their applications. And are you there? We go. It's so there are applications here to ask you where you detoxed, what your drug of choice was, and all these things, and you can apply. And that's how you get started. My point to this is I know that we have people that listen to the show all over the country. If alcohol is a big problem that you've not been able to kick, you may need to see a doctor about going into a detox program. But I want you to know that there's hope out here, 100% hope that if you want to get sober and reclaim your life, if your finances are in such a place that you just don't see hope, there is hope out here.
Yeah.
This is a first step. And if we have one right here on the west side of Cleveland, you got one near you in Arizona or Idaho or wherever you may be, I am sure. And so, that's enough
Thank
on
God
that.
those
Just
guys are
spark the
out there. I
awareness.
mean, this is a
Yes.
terrible, terrible trap that people can't get themselves out of. That's the
Uh-huh.
whole point is it tricks you into thinking you can handle it, but you can't.
There's a
That's
lot
right.
of voices in your head that will tell you a
Yeah.
lot of crazy things as you try to get out of that kind of thing. But I'm just telling you, there's all kinds of hope around you. Just do some searches of what is around you there, and you will have things that are free to you. Not everything is a Betty Ford clinic for celebrities that have $90,000 to spend on it. You have options as well. And man, there's nothing like reclaiming your sanity for sure.
No kidding.
Online groups everywhere. Like a Zoom call like this, phone call away.
Well, it's definitely needed out there. And while we're on the subject of health, let's go ahead and transition over
Let's
to the
do.
European thing. I saw a post on X here, lots of great information from the Health Booster. I don't know who this is, but he's got some really great information here. So I thought I'd share here.
Good.
But isn't the whole thing is that it's interesting. The average European smokes, has a high carb
Yeah,
diet, and barely goes to the gym, and yet is healthier and lives
sure.
longer than the average American. And so, how is that possible? This guy goes over six different differences between what's going on here in the United States and what's going on in Europe. And number one is the food quality in America. And we've talked about this many times, but I do
We should
have
always talk about it.
I think this is one of those things where you got to continue to pound the drum and or beat the drum for myself included, because this is something that's just not one and done. It's a constant fight that we're in. So American foods, of course, loaded with seed oils, preservatives, synthetic additives,
Yeah.
banned. in most of Europe.
Yeah.
And even our bread, pasta, and yogurt are often filled with hidden chemicals that destroy our health. I want to share this video that I have up here. But this guy, it was on Joe Rogan, and he was going over this. Let me just play this.
You actually lose weight eating pasta and bread in Europe. Eating a bowl of pasta and a basket of bread here, and you just feel like you want to go to sleep and you're in a bad mood and your gut blows up like a tick. But then you go to Italy or you go to France and you have a fat bowl of pasta and a basket of bread over there, maybe even a glass of wine. You feel amazing. Why is that? Well, because in 1993, chemical industry convinced the federal government that we needed to spray our entire grain supply with folic acid. All flour, all bread, all pasta, all cereal. Although we don't call it sprayed with folic acid, we call it enriched. Enriched foods. Foods that are sprayed with folic acid. Folic acid is a man-made chemical that we make in a laboratory. You cannot find it anywhere on the surface of the earth. It does not exist naturally in Mother Nature. Doesn't sound like a big deal until you realize it's the most prevalent nutrient in the human diet. I'm not saying don't eat grains or rice or pasta or cereals or bread. I'm saying eat the non-fortified, non-enriched versions of those.
Hard to find.
Versions of those. You actually lose weight eating pasta and bread.
Yeah.
So what do you
It's hard
think
to
of that?
find non-enriched. You got to really watch your labels. And the other thing you got to look for is high fructose corn syrup, and it's almost impossible to find this stuff without sugar. But if it's natural sugar, it's a little better than normal. But dude, that's a really good share. The big point I want to make is here, everybody should be so angry about this because we are paying these people with our tax dollars to do this to us.
Yeah, they made a decision to put folic acid on all of our grains. And this is the big difference in Europe. The same meals are made fresh with real ingredients, less sugar, less processing, no fake flavorings or dyes. Better ingredients equals less inflammation and equals healthier body. So that was number one. Number two, portion distortion in America. Our meals are oversized. There's a video here. I'm not going to play it, but it's an English guy raving about how he'd heard about the sizes in America, and he orders these French fries from McDonald's, and it's like a whole tray of French fries comes out, and but it's true. We don't need to have these supersized meals that we have here in America. And once they introduce that stuff to the general public, it's like we've seen a big result in our waistline here in America.
Yeah. And it's also, it's always the foods that are full of the addictive chemicals. And so you don't get full on it. You want to just keep eating them. You need to supersize it.
It's so crazy. And I believe it's really chemicalized to make it not only that you're addicted, but you never actually get full, like you're saying. The next one is number three, movement patterns here in America. Mostly what we're doing is we're driving to work, we're sitting down all day long, then we're driving back home, then we're sitting in front of the TV, or some people are playing video games. But in Europe, I mean, they're walking everywhere. And this whole thing with walking is that it's so good for you to be walking.
For your head too.
This is just this is how it is in Europe. The lifestyle is outdoors. They walk everywhere. They don't rely on a gym membership because their activities baked into every day.
Yeah, it's good.
So number four is stress levels here in America. Americans are chronically stressed, always on, always running, always connected. The result, fat gain, poor sleep, high cortisol, compromised immune function. There's studies now, Barry, that I've seen where this is affecting young people, especially where this whole idea of burnout in our generation was happening at our age in our 50s and 60s. For these young people, it's happening in their 30s right now. And the thing that they're attributing this to is so much social media, politics, television, the things that are happening at work, just you're constantly on a computer. It's just burning people out.
It's not just that, Merle. It's really funny. Between last night and this morning, I've been listening to you like this. Matt Walsh is being interviewed by Tucker Carlson on his podcast. And boy, he is so far right. He's more far right than anybody I've ever listened to.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, as traditional as you get in family roles in every way, everybody would call him a complete misogynist today. And but what I can say is when I listen to these kinds of things, I listen to such a variety, is there's a place out there for that. There's a man or a boy out there that needs to hear his message, and he will save his life by, it'll be like, oh, this resonates with me. This is what I'm missing, and this is how I need to turn my life. Now, but in my opinion, it's not the exact message that every man or boy needs to hear, because I think there's a lot of different people out there, but I think it is a very good message for a lot of people. And and so the real point that I wanted to get to is, okay, so not everything is black and white. I think everything's in shades of gray. But one thing that he and I and you and I can really agree on is we have screwed boys and girls up in these couple of generations here. Hell, in my generation. By confusing the gender roles, by talking about gender all the time, by not letting boys be boys, toxic masculinity. Anybody that says that should be punched in the face. Seriously.
That sounds like toxic masculinity there.
Yeah,
buddy.
and it's okay. There's one there's one for toxic masculinity. I don't mean toxic. It's bull. It's just complete bull.
I hear you.
And, and thinking that every woman has to have a 5-star career. Well, what if you want a family and you want to raise a family?
Oh, no, you can't do that, Barry.
No, you're supposed to do it all. You think you're going to have a little cortisol running through your system? Cortisol's the stress hormone. It's great for fight or flight. If you're being chased by a bear, you want that cortisol shot coming at you. But not when you're sitting around being told that you're not good enough as a kid.
Back to the comparison between American and European lifestyles. While we're all stressed out here in America, these people in Europe, they're slowing down. They're taking time off. Their work-life balance is culturally enforced. I mean, we complain here in America about how I think they're working a 30-hour work week over there in Europe while we're working a 60-hour work week over here. But yet we're dying a lot faster than they are over there. So their lifestyle keeps their stress lower, their metabolism higher, and their health intact. And last couple of ones. One is
I got to add one thing to that.
Go ahead. Yeah,
they're also not responsible for funding the rest of the world's wars. You know what I mean? They're taking all of our money away from us and telling us to work harder.
This is the global plan that America needs to be fleeced in order for the rest of the world to take advantage of it. But that's a whole nother subject that we're getting pretty good at, actually. Eating culture in America, we're eating in cars, at desks, in front of screens. We're doing it in 20 minutes, really. In Europe, they've got really more ritualistic eating. They get together. They're sharing. They're sitting together. They're eating mindfully because they're taking time. They're not just jamming a box or a bag of Doritos down their gullet. So,
good point.
Last one, and I think this one's a good one. We'll talk more about this. So, food regulations in America. The FDA is allowing these additives into our food. In fact, this is in the news recently. RFK Jr. is doing some great work over there. We're gonna be making some serious changes to what's inside of our foods. But the fact is, what is inside of our foods today has actually been killing Americans. Let me just share this video. These two odd characters, they are odd, but they're actually speaking truth here. Let's hear.
American products that are banned in Europe, Pop-Tarts, Lucky Charms, Gatorade, and Twinkies or even Little Debbie are banned in Europe because they contain dyes like Yellow 5, Yellow 6, and Red 40. This could be very harmful for health, especially to young children. Next, American chickens are also banned. They go to chlorine washing, a technique banned in Europe. Number last, Coffee Mate and Ritz Cracker are also banned for trans fat. It has been proven that they increase the risk of heart disease. Bon appétit! American products.
Okay, so these guys are kind of hard to understand.
Well, dude, those sounded like fake accents.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about.
I don't know what that was about.
But
the points were well made.
They really were. I mean, they're putting these dyes in our foods that are causing cancer, and apparently those are going to come out
Bleaching
finally.
chicken and beef.
Yeah, these things are banned in Europe. They don't
Course
allow these things in Europe, so they're not dying from these things. Hey, one thing, Barry, that I do know is in Europe, a very interesting thing compared to the United States, and this wasn't a part of this article, but something that is worthy of considering is the supply chain in Europe for food is different than the supply chain here. And here's the difference is that the food is generally closer to you. We have very vast areas here in the United States. A lot of stuff is shipped here, a lot of stuff shipped across the country. But our land, we have a vast amount of land here compared to in Europe. And so that means that fresh foods can get to the actual consumer much quicker than it can here. So it's easier for them to have these. I guess that's part of the reason why we have a lot of processed foods to preserve preservatives.
Not totally buying that, but
no, you know, that's but you could see how it could develop that way. Because somehow it developed and then it just took off. Usually these terrible things that are happening they start out innocently and then turn into some kind of horrible, devilish thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it could be free speech. Oh, hate speech because somebody said something horrible and they killed themselves. Now so they start with that. And then the next thing you know, they're banning everything else. But to your point about the food, sure. If all of a sudden you find that, in 1960s when the refrigeration wasn't as good or something, and you found a preservative, where all of a sudden, wow, you could keep these foods fresher for an extra month. Yeah. That's how it starts, correct?
Yes.
But in our highly capped,
something else.
It turns into it's like seed oils. Holy crap, we could fry this food in sunflower seed oil, which we're only using to lubricate machinery in factories for all this time, but we could do that for pennies rather than $1.
Right. That is how it starts. Exactly. Yeah. And then there's even more that you have to think about because there are nefarious people that are interested in the death of millions. So you got to start to wonder about this kind of stuff. I mean, you got to put your critical thinking skills in and start to think, well, why would they know that these dyes cause cancer? They've known this for a very long time. Why do they continue to do it? I mean, seriously, there's no good answer for this.
I do think when we get to, because you could have me hang with that conversation with you on the phone, but I think when we do that, and it goes, that's where you go like, oh, global conspiracy theory will lose a lot of people. But I think everybody can buy the fact that, oh, well, if they can make their food cheaper, they're going to do it in the U.S. for sure. Somebody's going to get paid off and they're going to pass those laws. It's lobbyists, food lobbyists, for sure. And all I know is I'm super freaking happy RFK Jr. is the one in there championing this. He has been doing that. So there's no liberals listening to this. But if there were liberals listening to this, this is the guy that's been, championing the environmental cause for decades. It's been his passion.
Yeah, it really has. Yep.
So
that's been his whole life.
Remember that before you just lump him in with Trump and say, we can't listen to him because he's a Trump guy. No, he's been the environment guy his whole life.
It's so interesting what you're talking about because Elon Musk is an environment guy too, and he was also a Democrat. And so it's
do you want to go straight to the Tesla challenge?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Okay. That's funny. All right. I'm just throwing this out at you, and I put it out at chat and did a little research, and I just think it's a really important subject. And trying to find it. There we are. And it's about people keying Teslas. All right. This to me is the ultimate in the mental illness that has gone awry, and we put up with it in the society and claim, well, because they're such nice liberals or something, that this is okay. Let me just throw this out to you. If a man, and very, very succinctly, if a man was caught on video keying a Tesla, And the
Yes.
owner saw him, punched him in the face, leaving him with a black eye. All of this was caught on tape, which we see a lot of this, and with a witness. So it's all completely verifiable what would happen in a court of law. Okay, so
Yeah.
bottom line, who gets the most punishment out of this? A guy sees somebody keying his $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 vehicle.
Right.
He wasn't asking for this. He was trying to save the environment and have a cool car at the same time. And this person is doing this vandalism to personal property. Merle, what do you think happens in a court of law?
I'm pretty sure what would happen here if the law were applied correctly, that both of these people would be in trouble. I think that the person that keyed the car would be in trouble for vandalizing that car, and they would be liable for the damages. But I think the person that punches the other person over it, although in my heart I feel it's justified, the laws around assault are pretty serious, and I'm intimately familiar with them. And so if this person is not being threatened bodily by this other person, then there's no self-defense claim here. And therefore, this person would be guilty of assault and battery.
Well, that is very true. I have a couple quotes here from a couple of judges that shed light on the way the law sees this. But I will say that, a lot of this will depend on where it is. Because if you're in Texas, you're going to probably get a judge leans more compassionately to the real victim. And the real victim is the guy who's getting his car.
Right.
Like, who's the first victim? The guy that's getting hit. This is what bothers me to no end. And I cannot get straight with it in my mind with my emotions. The guy that's getting his car keyed didn't ask for that.
No.
He's minding his own business and probably leading a good life. He comes out and this is happening to him. He's the freaking victim, but I'll guarantee you that blue-haired nipple ring piece of crap that's doing the keying thinks he's some kind of a victim. He
I
himself.
like how you described that guy.
Yeah,
that's why he's keying the cars, because he thinks he's a victim. That's exactly right. Yep.
So I don't know. I think if you're destroying someone else's public property, first of all, you have no leg to stand on. Like, let's say that this was a neighbor you had a beef with. Now you got something you're going to trial with and you're going to argue about. But it's not. It's a total stranger. You don't know who that is.
Yeah.
No, dude, I don't know. I think that maybe you could plead some kind of insanity if you're the one doing the keying, maybe. But I think you deserve an ass kicking. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. And I do think you're right about where this happens, because a judge hearing this story, well, there's gonna be some subjectivity to that whole thing. And if you did it in Chicago, it's probably gonna be different than if you did that in Dallas or Austin. Well, Austin, it would probably be the same as Chicago, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And here we are with our constitutional state laws, right? Like every state's going to have different laws around this kind of stuff too. But I think generally what the general rule of thumb is that you don't, if you touch somebody physically first in an aggressive way, then the law is going to be against you on that.
You're right. And I'll read these quotes on that, but I'm just saying, you just said it. If you touch somebody first in an unprovoked, aggressive way, dude, I just feel that's total means
You're
for provoking.
Yeah, it's provocation. That's exactly right. And it works. And this is where we have to be able to, we have to be disciplined here. And kids need to be taught to be able to control their emotions, because you can easily get drawn into criminal activity this way. Those old Westerns, I remember that old Western, Shane, where what was the guy's name? Jack Palance. He's always a bad guy, right? Okay, so Shane, he's the good guy. And he comes into town. He just wants to get some milk and cheese, right? But he stops at the at the tavern to get a glass of water, and when he walks in there, he runs into Jack Palance, who calls him, he orders a glass of milk, and he calls him you need some milk from your mommy or something like that. He totally provokes him into trying to going for his gun, but Shane won't go for it. But another guy comes in, and Jack does the same thing, and Jack just guns him down because he's a professional gunfighter, right? He's looking to provoke people so that he can kill them.
Yeah.
And legally he gets away with it.
Hmm.
Those laws are still on the books. That's how it works here.
Really good point.
Yeah, so if somebody can provoke you, and this was happening, this is why I know about this at Geauga Lake, the amusement park that I worked at. People were constantly trying to provoke us. They said they did the worst, horrible things, but if I were to even put my hand on their shoulder and say, "Look, buddy, that can be assault. You don't want to touch people in these situations.
Yeah, that's
Take
a good
picture,
point.
take a picture, get a film. You got a Tesla, it's already doing it. Take them to court, sue them, and you'll get your justice."
I guess
I know,
if you
terrible.
can
It's so
find
much
this
more
person,
fun to
they
pound
run
them into the dirt.
Yeah, but they run off and you never see them again, even though you got a video. And when you could have just punched him in the face, held him down.
But look, the penalty now, if you get caught doing this right now, what are you're looking at, like 20 years in jail, mandatory?
Is that right?
Like, right now, there's some kind of, I don't know if we can look it up, but
I had a bunch of,
made it.
There's
so
a felony after like
this,
$20,000 worth of, after the, or no, it's not even that. I think it's 4,000, maybe even 2,000. And go ahead and look that up and I'll read this quote, but it does become a felony at that point. I want to say, I got two quotes. One's from Judge William Overton, the Ninth Circuit commentary on provoked assault cases. He says, quote, "The law cannot condone vigilante justice, no matter how justified it may seem in the moment." Second quote is assault as a line. This is a Harvard Law Review, Volume 112, Use of Force and Property Crimes. Quote, the rule is clear. Once a person uses force in response to a non-violent offense, they become the criminal under law.
Yep.
That's the important one. The rule is clear. Once a person uses force in response to a non-violent crime, they become the criminal. See, that one, boy, I think that should go straight to a jury every time, because I'm not sure I believe that.
Well, but that is how the law is enforced, and I actually have gone through the process before, and it's not pretty. So the real lesson here is that we have to be able to control our temper. We cannot allow ourselves to, especially as men, to turn into that. Because now somebody hits you first, then have at it.
Totally agree. But here's the thing. That's still, to me, that's something of a violent act. That is a man trespassing on you. And here's the other thing. This is why, like, the Karen thing came about, is because you can't punch women. And so there just came a point where they had to be called out. That's going to sound sexist. This is totally true. Every man walks around knowing that he could get punched in the face for his behavior. And that keeps us to a more of a degree in line. And so there's a natural thing there. And that these kind of laws right there, look at the kind of men that are perpetrating this act.
I know, it's pretty obvious.
They're the kind of men that need punched in the face once, and they won't do it anymore. And that's the truth.
The penalty for vandalizing Tesla properties can be severe, with federal charges carrying a minimum penalty of 5 years in prison and a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison, along with a fine of $250,000.
Wow.
In some cases, such as the use of Molotov cocktails, the charges may be classified as domestic terrorism, leading to even harsher penalties. This whole thing with domestic or any kind of terrorism, if you're deemed as a terrorist, much like this Abrego character down in El Salvador, because he's with that Tren de Aragua, they classified that group as a terrorist group. You don't have any there's no rights for you if you have if you're a terrorist, you're going down.
Mm.
If you're a citizen, there's no due process or anything like that. So if you vandalize a Tesla with a Molotov cocktail, you can lose all of your due process.
Oh, it sounds right. It sounds right to me. Could you imagine,
A
like,
lot
dude,
worse
you
than being
throw.
punched in the face, is my point.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, also, I think throwing a Molotov cocktail is worse than being punched.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know?
Like if you're making a Molotov cocktail, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, yeah. Some legal intervention needs to happen right away.
Right, right,
Okay.
exactly.
Merle, I want to see what you want. I will
I
say
wanted to go into this whole thing about freedom of speech and
yeah,
what's
please.
happening with freedom of speech because it is definitely under worldwide attack right now. And there's several items here that I have to talk about that are exemplary of our loss of freedom of speech. But Barry, I just want to say this. I took this class at Kent State called Freedom of Speech, and it's
I didn't
probably my
I
my
didn't know they
favorite
had a
class.
class. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. In the communications department, they had this class called Freedom of Speech. It was Johnny Miller was the professor. He was actually my favorite professor in the communication school. He was so
Wow.
cool. But this was all about court cases, freedom of speech, court cases, and how they were determined and how that related to the Constitution. And it was probably one of my favorite classes that I took. Uh, but the bottom line, and we've talked about this before, Barry, is that if you can control somebody's speech or a population's speech, then you can control how they think, and therefore you can control them.
Yeah,
And
for
really,
sure.
this is why it's the First Amendment, not the
Hmm.
10th or the fifth. It's the First Amendment. It's our freedom of speech amendment. It really embodies the spirit of what America is all about.
Totally agree.
Marco Rubio is out recently now talking about, in a recent interview, talking about a shadowy secret agency inside the State Department that tried to silence all Americans. And we've seen this before, but this is all coming out now in reports. We heard this that this State Department. Remember when we were talking about how there are departments or programs in our government that start out as good intention, like the food we were talking
Hmm.
about, like, oh, let's try to
Hmm.
preserve this and maybe we can get this out there at a better price. So good intentions. In this case, about 10 to 15 years ago, the State Department created a program to counter terrorist messaging from Al Qaeda and ISIS. And so no one could possibly argue with that. That's what was important at the time. But after the 2016 election, the program's focus shifted to targeting foreign interference in election. And this is in elections. And this is kind of where things started to morph. By 2020, something different happened. It was a government funded operation targeting individual American voices. And it was under this program, a guy by the name of Richard Stengel was running it, who proclaimed at the time that Donald Trump talks just like a Russian spy and he talks just like a terrorist, and so do the people around him. So what happened was they created this whole group of people that needed to be taken care of. The State Department started to fund impartial NGOs with taxpayer money. And these third party groups then tagged American commentators and media outlets as foreign agents. As a result of that, not only were people like Ben Shapiro or the Federalist and many other people were caught up in, just normal people like you and I, caught up in
Hmm.
this dragnet where we were being censored for the
Well,
things that we
COVID.
said.
Oh
We
my
couldn't even
God.
say COVID on this
No.
show without
Oh,
getting censored.
sure.
Um, but then before Trump took office, they didn't shut down the unit. They just simply renamed it and they moved it someplace else in the bureaucracy. So when they got in there, they couldn't find this organization, but that's what now they found it. But here's the thing is that American taxpayers were unknowingly funding this censorship operation. The tax dollars were being used to silence us and our fellow Americans for exercising our rights. Well, this had a ripple effect because of the business that we do with foreign countries, what had happened is we're seeing this exact same thing being perpetrated by all of the countries in the West now, and we're seeing, like, for instance, in the UK, we just had the Prime Minister of the UK here in the Oval Office, and this was addressed about this whole idea of having free speech. You know, in the UK, if
They
you
do
write your
not have.
opinion, yeah, or
They
even say
put
your opinion, right?
hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people that had Facebook posts that they thought were threatening imprisoned in the UK. No, they're really in a bad place. But I'll say that you and I talked about a couple of months ago that the Biden administration had put something like $400 million, something like that, into a non-free speech, a censorship program, and it was called something like the Freedom of not the Freedom of Information, but I forget what it was titled. But I know that something similar is now going on with the Trump administration. It's just titled something different. And if I wish I had a few minutes to look it up so I could talk more intelligently about it. But if I had to guess, it's probably so-called anti-Semitic speech.
Mhm. Wow. Let's get this, Barry. When announcing this massive reorganization of the State Department, this place is called the Global Engagement Center. That's the organization that was censoring us. The Global Engagement Center engaged with media outlets and platforms to censor speech it disagreed with,
Oh, yeah.
Rubio said. The center has been accused by conservatives of censoring them. Journalist Matt Taibbi, for example, previously reported that the center funded a secret list of subcontractors and helped pioneer an
Oh, yeah.
insidious and idiotic new form of blacklisting during the pandemic. And so this is being dismantled right now. And also this whole policy is being used by our federal government now as really being used to promote free speech. And economically, we are really saying, hey, in order to do business with us, we really need to free up this free speech thing, and especially for Americans, because in Europe, they've passed laws now where Americans talking about American things can be prosecuted or fined. And you take a look at the interview between Elon Musk and Trump back before the election happened, and it was being broadcast over X. Well, now Musk is looking at a $2 billion fine from the EU for broadcasting a Trump interview because they are saying that it contained misinformation. $2
Oh, my
billion.
God. Oh,
Okay, so
what an interesting
that
can of
broadcast
worms.
did not happen here in the UK or in the EU. It happened here in America, and yet they're being fined for their free speech privileges.
It's what I mean, an interesting can of worms. So we got every country in the world that this is a question for now, this situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now this is getting even more. Let's just ratchet this up a little bit more. You're familiar with General Michael Flynn, who was in charge of our uh, national intelligence for a time before they came after him. Let me just say this. General Flynn posted a video, and when he posts videos, it's never random. This man, let me just read this. He's not selling supplements. He's not another self-declared patriot with a webcam. He's a battlefield strategist, a former director of national intelligence, and one of the few high-ranking insiders who didn't sell his soul. He posted a message from General Stephen Quast, who is the decorated U.S. Air Force general, and he's the one that put out a video. This was a few years back, but Flynn is bringing this up now, and there's a reason why he's bringing it up now. This General Quast put this together at Hillsdale College, and I'm just going to play what he's saying, but let me just say this before I do. He's talking about the fact that we have access to things in technology that have been hidden from us. And this goes along with the whole free speech thing, and the fact that our government belongs to we the people, not an elite group of people that
Debatable.
can keep secrets from us. Well, sure, it's debatable now because we seem to have given away that privilege that we've had here. Let me share this and what General Quest is saying. It's actually pretty fascinating. Hold on a second here.
Energy, the seed corn of all development, all growth, all survival, energy. So energy, transportation, information, and manufacturing, these are the things that change humanity, that will change world power, and they are descending upon us in ways that are very unique. The technology is on the engineering benches today, but most Americans and most in Congress have not had time to really look deeply at what's going on here. But I've had the benefit of 33 years of studying and becoming friends with these engineers and these scientists. This technology can be built today with technology that is not developmental to deliver any human being from any place on planet Earth to any other place in less than an hour. To deliver Wi-Fi from space, where you never need a cell tower to connect. To deliver energy from space, where you never have to plug your phone in and it trickle charges, and you can use that energy over time. It can be applied to cars, to houses. The technology of Edison and Tesla that we live with in our energy environment, our paradigm today, is expensive, it's dangerous, and it's wasteful. Plug it into the wall. But yet that's what we all do because we are used to paradigms. The power of space will change world power forever. And it doesn't have to be a big country to do it. It can be a small island country, let's say New Zealand. Because the technology, if optimized, can change world power. And there's nothing you can do if you don't have that power. The nature of power. You either have it and your values rule, or you do not have it and you must submit. We see that play out again and again in history, and it's playing out now. But we get trapped. Energy.
Okay. Dude, I totally agree with all of that. That renewable.
How could you not, right?
But it's going to change our currency. It's going to
change everything.
Power dynamics, everything.
This speech was given 5 years ago, and General Flynn is putting it out now and saying it's here. The technology is here. Everything that he just talked about is available and here right now. So listen to what he talked about. I mean, he was talking about free energy. He was talking about no wires, no bills, no fossil fuels, power flowing directly from advanced tech and already exists, but is being hidden. He's talking about transportation anywhere in the world within 1 hour, no airports, no passports, no jet lag. Imagine moving from Texas to Tokyo faster than it takes to build a commercial flight. Automated manufacturing. Tech could eliminate slave labor and globalist supply chain overnight. Internet from space, a communication network beyond the reach of big tech censorship, corporate fraud, political manipulation. And then New Zealand, strange, right? It's an interesting thing about New Zealand because it's long been speculated that New Zealand is a hiding place for the global elite, billionaires buying bunkers, strange military installations, tech philanthropy fronts that reek of cover-ups. That's why he said that. But this is it. Free energy destroys the oil cartels. Instant transportation obliterates borders. Space-based internet kills censorship, and the elite, they lose control instantly. This would be a new power shift. In his point that he's making, Barry, is so important that the space race, this is what he was talking about. The need for a space force is not just a military thing, it's economic. And really, we need to change how we're thinking about things. It's not military that produces might, it's economic power that produces might, and the military goes along with that. If China gets out into space and gets a hold of free energy, they will dominate the rest of the world. Their
We'll be
form
slaves.
of human rights will be king, and like you said, will be slaves. We have to get there first in order for the world. This is not just for America. This is for humanity. This needs to happen. Now, this has been covered up, Barry. This was where I wanted to go. This has been covered up for years because the global elite need to have that power over you to keep this facade going, where you think that you're free, but you really serve at the pleasure of these elites making you an indentured servant.
I totally see that.
And that's why this is happening. That's why this censorship is happening. And that's why we have got to make this our life's battle, our life's mission, to open up communication. I am not afraid of lies in the face when we have a public forum where we can debate, because the truth stands on its own against a lie every time.
Well, I'll tell you what, I really want to do my research on Mike Flynn and what he just proposed there.
It's General Quast that's out there saying this. It's Mike Flynn that's promoting it now and saying it's here right now.
I want to explore
two are working together. I think it's important because we see a lot of weird things in the sky, and we're like, are they aliens? And you and I have speculated, but this could be these super uber rich billionaires that have created their own technology that they're trying to use as a fear technique to corral us into this mindset of a slavery.
I think our government has, I think a lot of these so-called UFOs that we're seeing is a lot of government operation.
I do too. And in fact, those last ones that seemed, it was like they had FAA lights on them. I mean, come on now.
I know. I'm hearing that a lot on a regular basis too by credible people. And I think that our minds are going to be completely blown when we realize the extent of our technology that we have.
Absolutely.
You have to run right now?
I do. So, hey, Barry, I wanted to ask you, so what do you think? This whole thing with General Quast and the energy and Flynn and what he's saying. And I mean, what about this whole thing about paradigms? I thought that was interesting, where Quast is talking about we're in these paradigms and we think, oh yeah, plug it into the wall. We can't think outside of that box, which is keeping us literally inside of a box that we could literally never get out of.
Oh God, we do want to stay in our boxes. Just as an example, tie in Canada for a moment and some of the stuff that we had to talk about there. It's just that guy that just got elected. What's his name? It's somewhere here. But they went backwards largely because of Trump and threatening to annex them. But my real point is this guy is all backwards with his so-called freedom of speech and stuff. He wants to put a bunch more money into their media. And, that's like, okay, yeah, let's fund CNN. That ought to be good for us. And that's my point, that a lot of people, a big portion of this country, like Canada, will want to stay in that paradigm, that find comfort in it. And even if you present irrefutable evidence that it's homogenized so-called truth, they're still going, the comfort zone is still there, and they will fight. They will, I'll literally tell you, they will get to the point. I just don't believe what you're saying, even when presented with cold, hard, black and white facts. I don't believe what you're saying, and this is what I believe.
Right.
That's paradigm.
What we're fighting against, yes.
Yeah.
It is a paradigm.
But I want to say that, okay, so we had a brief break. I got to have lunch and think about what you were saying. And I got to tell you, at first blush, this seems to me to be about the most important thing we've ever talked about on this show.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
And
this is about our existence. Like, are we going to live or die, really, as our whole world?
In between this, Lisa and I have to have very stressful, hurried conversations about the state of healthcare right now. And it's just like, I mean, we just literally both said, my God, the way we're getting squeezed so hard, each of us as individuals and as the bottom rung of a company, so that all of these people can get so rich off the system for unjust reasons. And to what you're saying, I think that the society has come to a head. Something's got to break. Something's got to give. I keep thinking that AI is going to be our ticket that somehow get us out of this, or the second coming of Jesus Christ, or both at the same time, or the same thing. Something's got to give. And
You're right.
And with what you're talking about there right now, I want to take those bullet points and I want to do my own studying
We
and
all
come up
should.
with sources.
Yes.
And I
I
want to
agree.
continue talking about this.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think we all should take this information and look into it for ourselves. I think the more people that are looking into this kind of thing and starting to realize that we're inside of this paradigm that paradigms can be very dangerous. General Quast, actually, that presentation that Quast was giving was an hour-long presentation in front of Hillsdale College, and I watched the whole thing. And he talked about some very interesting things. One of them was, and he's giving examples of paradigms. And this was during the 1400s. And remember, during the 1400s, it's 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Remember, that was the Spanish fleet that he was a part of, and the Spanish and the English on this high seas. This is where they really gained their international power. At the exact same time that was happening, China was also developing these ships to navigate the seas. Now, keep in mind that these things would give a tremendous economic advantage to each of these countries, much like the space race that we're talking about right now, is that economically, these things can advance your influence on the rest of the world. And so, but here's what happened in China. It was under the Ming Dynasty. This is so interesting. They had a two-party system there. Remember how we talked about how George Washington talked about the partisan
Shouldn't
theory
have parties.
and how shouldn't have parties because it'll be all about the party and not about the country. Well, this is what happened to China.
And then, wait a minute. And then when the, what's the Purdue guy, Ross Perot, when he came about and scared the bejesus out of both other parties, and I'm getting this from Tulsi Gabbard, they orchestrated, I forget, she explained it, but she explained how they rigged the system so there really literally can only be two parties now.
And that's right.
That's what they want.
Now, going back to the Ming Dynasty, the party that was in charge in the beginning was full go on these naval developments and making these ships that could sail the world and explore and find new ways to bolster their economy. But because they had a two-party system, each of these parties hated each other. And when the one party that was developing the ships got beat by the other party, much like Joe Biden when he won over Trump, they hated everything that the other party had created, so they destroyed all their ships. That set back. Now, that was in the 1400s.
Were they called
China's
Teslas?
still trying to catch up from that 600-year-old blight where they gave away world dominance to England and Spain. And so the same analogy, see, it's because of the paradigm that they were in. They couldn't see the value of putting those ships out there because they were we didn't need ships before this. Why do we need them now?
Yeah.
It's just like the Space Force. Remember when the Biden administration took over and their PR person was asked, well, what about the Space Force? And she goes, Space Force? Really? Like she's totally denigrating it. But this is what happened in China. The same thing happened in World War I, World War II, where we thought that airplanes were just surveillance planes to find out where the enemy was. And then
High ground always wins.
World War II happens, and here Hitler had and Japan had been developing these high-tech planes that could shoot things down, not just survey things. We just thought, oh, well, no, infantry is king. And we almost lost World War II as a
Oh, yeah.
result.
Yeah.
All those flights over England, they said that there was a 1 in 25 chance of survival, and yet your mission was to fly 25 missions. So your chance of survival was 0. And so we lost so many people, so many young men died over the skies of Europe because we were caught in a paradigm and we weren't thinking ahead. Well, this was his whole point. And information, free speech being squelched to the point where we can't share this information with people, and people who try to share this information are relegated to the fringes of society, the way that this organization within our own State Department was operating keeps this away from us. So we always stay inside of that box.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I want to do my own research on it so that I can go to the sources, because what I want to do is try to take the stigma away. And for me, myself, I want to take the conspiracy theorist brandishing off of it. If we can dig down to the sources and talk about individual elements, it'll do just that. And you know what? I might find some BS there, and I'll call it out. So
it's interesting how the BS factor works. It works on both sides of the aisle. I got an example of that, actually. We're still talking about freedom of speech. And here I saw an article this week that the Texas House passed a bill to criminalize political memes. The House bill is 366. It would lock up anyone for a year unless political memes or altered media has a government disclaimer. And so why is Texas doing this? So I looked at some articles on this, and it was just like, oh my gosh, Texas, what are you doing? You're banning free speech? You can't put a meme out there, and if you do this, you're going to go to prison for a year. But here's, as I did further research, and this is really kind of a lesson here, I started looking at all other media sources on this, and I started to find out why this passed the House. Now, it still has to pass the Senate, and it's got to be approved by the governor. Those things haven't happened yet. But here's really why. So all the Democrats voted for it, and a bunch of Republicans did as well. Not all of them. But here's what's really happening is that, the one article left out the fact that if you and I were to send a meme, they're not talking about you and I sending a meme here. They're talking about political ads, like the ones that say, sponsored by George Bush for president.
I approve this message.
That's what they're talking about. They're talking about campaign ads that are paid for. And now what they're talking about is deep fakes. And the fact that there are these deep fakes that are out there where you have a candidate that's saying something that they absolutely didn't say. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to protect against that.
Yeah, and that's dangerous, right?
This is dangerous. This is the slippery slope, though, that we talked about, where it's like, okay, that is something that we want to be able to protect against, sort of like the food additives that we talked about before, or the agency inside the State Department that was there to protect us against Al-Qaeda, right? And ISIS, and how those things metastasized against us. Well, this is one of those things. It's like, free speech is very valuable for all of us. We don't want to have our thinking controlled. And at the same time, these deep fakes can absolutely control our thinking.
Let me ask you something. Using an analogy, let's say that I went on this tirade and started saying, like, Joe Biden actually nearly got us into World War III with China by saying whatever. Right. So this was my thing. And I was just like, I don't know, maybe Biden personally did something to me. Doesn't really matter. But I got obsessed with spreading this message that he nearly started World War III with China. And I put it on Twitter, and it gains maybe hundreds of thousands of views. What legally is that just it? I would think that's protected under free speech. It's an
I would too. Yeah.
outright lie. So this is I'm
Lies are
opening
protected by free speech.
I'm opening this up in real time because God knows I could see a big ass problem with manipulating videos that look like real life and sharing lies that
Same
way.
here. I mean, there are lawsuits that are on the books that are out there that are being contended with right now. So this is a big deal with the advent of AI and now quantum coming out as well. We can make things look so real. We could make it look like you
Yeah.
just robbed a bank,
Yeah.
actually, if we wanted to. We could make you say whatever we want you to say and put it out there. And now with the other, here's another thing, Barry, along with the AI and quantum, is that we're actually producing androids now that look exactly like human beings and can speak just like AI can speak. So we could actually produce a person that looks and talks and acts just like you and is actually physical. I mean, we're entering into a realm right now that we're off the charts, really.
Hey,
This
let
is
me
it. We
ask
are
you
off the
this
charts.
for fun. This makes me go down this path. So I get an Android, regardless of what it looks like, but I have it rob a bank for me. Now, I know immediately at face value, you're like, well, you just used the tool to rob a bank. You're guilty
Right,
of robbing
right.
a bank. But I don't know. I can see some slippery slopes coming up where you're like, look, I told it to go get $1,000 out of my bank account. I didn't tell it to take all the money
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
the bank. You
Oh,
know?
and by the way, because of quantum, this thing is sentient now. So it's thinking for itself.
Yeah, yeah.
I
We
don't
got
have anything to
some,
do with this.
I mean, just like I said about these deep fakes, there's a very interesting conversation to be had there that
Yeah.
I haven't read about yet. I don't know what people are arguing yet. But just like I said, if I intentionally went viral with my own lies about, potentially starting World War III, and that's protected by free speech, then how about me altering a video and putting out the same lies? I think that's wrong, though.
It feels wrong. Yeah.
I
But then
think you got to
again,
get into maybe defamation of character. But then what if you use complete strangers? They're not real people, so they can't say defamation.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're off the charts now, right?
Yeah,
Like, can
we
your
need to revisit
Android
this.
do these things? Yeah, right. It looks like it wasn't me. It was my Android. This is
Mhm.
the craziest conversation too.
We
But I mean,
gotta,
it's a conversation we
we
now
better get
have
on
to
top
have.
of. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we better get on top of that. All right, like I said, I really want to do my own research on this stuff. I find completely fascinating. And when we get off of here, if you could send me a few bullet points to get me started, that would be great. It was
Yeah,
General, what's his
absolutely.
name?
Kwast, Kwast. He is highly decorated. And I'm not sure, like, I didn't do my research on Space Force and what he's actually doing right now for Space Force. I don't know. But he is definitely a big time advisor. President Trump actually brought up the fact that just this past week that we have weapons that no one has any idea of the actual technology that we possess. We are a lot stronger than people realize because of this technology, and that was all related to what General Quast was saying as well. So all of this is coming out from Trump, from Quast, from Flynn, and what it's sounding like is that we are on the precipice of a major change in our world. And this is what it looks like. So we'll have to see. I don't know.
I'm
This is
just
just
going to
what we're.
throw this out there because this is when, we can lose everybody. I said earlier in the show, let's not pull any triggers that says conspiracy theory. But, I follow all the UFO stuff quite a bit. I mean, there are people that are obsessed with it. I'm not, but I I subscribe to a major podcast with updates and all that. And all of the people that keep coming forward from military sources, government sources is like off the charts, unbelievable. And everybody knows about the Tic Tac videos, and there's a Go Fast video. There's a lot more footage than most people know of these objects. Orbs have been around forever, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But these different kinds of Tic Tacs and flying saucers and all that have been too. And they do things that defy physics as we know it. And there's even talk that starts to sound acceptable about using electromagnetism to get into the anti-gravity type of thing. I mean, it's starting to sound like accepted talk and more and more people are saying, oh, there's even a term, an acronym for these re-engineered ships. In other words, they're supposedly copying ET craft. We've had tons of these that we re-engineer, and how well they work is always debatable. But my real point is if we have had these craft that defy physics as we know it, and that we see on film submerging into the ocean without causing ripples, staying at extreme heights in high winds, not wavering whatsoever, and almost disappearing instantly, literally skipping across like they're kind of pulling time a bit. Mm-hmm. But my point is, that means we've been doing interplanetary travel for a long time.
I believe we may have. My research that I did on this week makes it clear that we may have.
That's crazy.
Been flying among the stars already, and a lot of the technology that you just talked about sounded a lot like the technology that Quast is saying has been hidden. So I just think it's very, very interesting what has been hidden from us. And I actually want to transition for a second here over to what happened in the cabinet meeting this week, especially around RFK Jr. And he made a couple of announcements that I thought were pretty shocking. The first one is one that's a follow-up to the food conversation that we had earlier, where he says, quote, "We announced last week the ban on 9 petroleum-based synthetic dyes, food dyes, within 2 years. Within 2 months, we're going to ban the worst of 2 of them. I'm working with Secretary Rawlins on dietary guidelines, the dietary guidelines that President Biden's administration gave us. 453 pages are basically unreadable." But then he goes on. He says this. I think this is important. And continue to note that he was also working with the Department of Agriculture secretary on the SNAP program. That's the food stamps to remove sodas and diet and candy from the program, and also with the EPA to work on the change the federal fluoride regulations. So those are things that they're working on right now. But then he ends up saying that during the Biden administration, HHS became a collaborator in child trafficking and for sex and for slavery. And we've ended that. And we are very aggressively going out and trying to find these children, 300,000 children that were lost by the Biden administration.
360 last I knew. Yeah.
So there was, during some testimony this month before 2 subcommittees of the House Homeland Security Committee, Tara Lee Rodas detailed the process by which the Department of Homeland Security takes custody of unaccompanied alien children at the southern border before they're handed over to HHS custody, which then places them with adult sponsors in the United States. The whistleblower went on to say that preparing to work grueling overnight shifts in slaughterhouses, restaurants, and factories, adding that some children may die today in jobs they don't have the knowledge or skill to do in order to repay never-ending debts to their smugglers and traffickers.
Yeah, that's an age-old thing. Oh my God, that makes me very angry and makes my skin crawl at the same time.
It does, and it's like, are you? So
this seems acceptable to a lot of people.
and my tax
based on
dollars.
their politics.
Yeah. And so we're paying for this. This is I guess of all the things that I looked at this week and last week is that, this freedom of speech is being commandeered against us, and these things that are hidden that we're actually paying for with our hard-earned dollars. I worked too hard to be to find out that I'm paying for this.
Yeah.
And so now we've got this smacks of a global operation that is a sex trafficking operation, which brings us to this whole story about Virginia Giuffre. I think that's how you say her name.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Apparently, well, what they're saying is that she committed suicide. This is the same woman that was with the picture of Prince, what is it? Prince Andrew, and they with the everybody's seen the picture of the two of them together. I think I might have it here.
Everyone's seen it.
But we've all seen it. But apparently she committed suicide. That's what they're saying. But boy, does that ever sound like a phony story to me. Some really weird stuff has been going on this one, Barry. First, at the beginning of the month, she got hit by a bus that was traveling 70 miles per hour. And then the police came and said that, oh, well, it was a minor accident and nobody went to the hospital. But she went to the hospital, and the doctors told her that she only had 4 days to live, that she had some kind of kidney damage that was going to kill her. Well, it didn't kill her. And now the word is that, only a few weeks later, she committed suicide. And, of course, everybody was buying the fact that, oh, this is a tormented soul, and
I don't think anybody was buying the fact. And Merle, there was the 2019. Now, a lot of times they leave out the date, but it wasn't 2019. She put out a tweet: "I'm not suicidal. If something happens to me, help protect my family."
That's right.
I hate when they intentionally leave the date out. It sounds like she put it out 3 weeks ago. She did not.
No.
It was 6 years ago. But here's the thing. Now, here's the other part of that people are going to get hung up on. They're going to be like, wait a minute. Her own family claims that it was the emotional toll of all of this sex slavery over all these years, and that she did commit suicide. So it brings me to one conclusion, that everything adds up here for me. And that is, I do believe that obviously this bus going 70 miles an hour, are you kidding me? I think she's in a form of witness protection program. That her family was like, oh, hell yeah, we'll cover for this. We have got to get her out of here for all of our sakes, ours too.
And I was looking up this whole thing too. And just yesterday, the father of Virginia changed the story. Here he is with Piers Morgan saying that there is no way his daughter killed herself. He's saying, there's a picture of Prince Andrew with her, but he is saying that for them to say that she committed suicide, there's no way that she did that. Somebody got to her. I don't think she committed suicide.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Isn't that interesting?
I thought they were all behind the story. Okay.
Yeah. So that's it. Is that they? Let's see if I can stop sharing. Am I sharing? Yes, I am.
So she was their one and only lead witness, and like Epstein, commits suicide, and we're supposed to buy that. And it makes me think, as far as Ghislaine Maxwell, if I say her name right.
Yeah, that's right.
She must have the goods on some serious people to still be alive, Like she's got.
I'm telling you.
They call that. What do they call that? There's a switch, the death switch. That if she comes up missing, all of a sudden all this information comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a term for it.
She's got an insurance policy. Yeah. That would be one way of saying it.
I
have a hard time figuring out how to stop sharing this. How do I get out of this? But yeah, you take a look at this. Now, I went to Chat GPT on this, Barry, and let's see if I can pull that up. I was wondering, are there any other victims of the Epstein fiasco that's like this? And I found out that yeah, there's all kinds of weird things that are going on right now. Let's see if I can pull up my chat on this. Yeah, there's another person here that let's see here. We got oh, this is how I found out about the father. So yeah, Virginia is one of them. Here's another one, Caroline Andriano. Caroline, another Epstein victim who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell, or however you say her name. She died from a drug overdose.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's methadone, fentanyl, and alprazolam.
That'll do it. It's amazing how we have such a problem killing people on death row, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and this is just stuff you could put your hands on here. While her death was ruled an accidental overdose, her former lawyer stated that her substance abuse issues were directly tied to the trauma she experienced due to Epstein's abuse. So there's questions around that whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'd keep an eye on some of these people here, because the fact is that the Epstein, okay, so if you believe Epstein committed suicide, then this all seems normal, right? But I don't believe that.
Nobody
I
believes
believe,
that.
and we see that, we know that
Nobody
from our
believes
attorney general, there's some pretty terrible stuff that's going on. So I would keep an eye on these victims and their welfare. I sure wouldn't want to be one of those people today.
No, no. What do you say we move on to perverted old men?
Yeah, I love that. I love perverted old men.
All right. So, I mean, it's all over the news for the last couple of weeks. Bill Belichick and his new squeeze, who apparently he met when she was 20 years old on a plane ride, but they don't like to talk about this. And I got a 1.5-minute video, a good video that explains everything. Why don't we watch it? Then we'll talk.
Yeah,
you know what?
sounds
Because I
good.
just want to say right up front that as an avid football fan, NFL fan, this guy was and is, I mean, regarded as the greatest NFL coach of all time. Bill Parcells is right up there too, but he was Bill Parcells' disciple.
He was, right.
And dude, he just ruined his entire legacy. Like, his brain is compromised. He's made of jelly. He's disgusting. But we'll talk about it.
Okay, let's check it out. I've never been a fan.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, his
No.
person, he's definitely, well, all of a sudden, all right.
Yeah, because I remember, we would lose a game. Okay.
Not talking about
And he'd just be like, well, we did this.
24-year-old girlfriend Jordan Hudson shutting it down a question from CBS Sunday Morning.
Oh, we
when the
didn't see that, right?
Flag on the play.
Not talking about this.
No.
No.
Bill Belichick's
that was
24-year-old
important.
girlfriend Jordan Hudson shutting it down a question from CBS Sunday Morning when the notoriously stoic coach was asked about his relationship with the former cheerleader,
Gross.
48 years his junior.
Oh my gosh.
Stupid thing.
The 6-time Super Bowl winning coach, who is never one that enjoys talking to the media,
Tom's age at the draft.
We're on to Cincinnati.
What do you think having a 37-year-old?
We're on to Cincinnati.
has seemed to take it all in stride lately, from getting roasted for his relationship by his former players,
You used to talk about Foxborough High School when we sucked. But now I know why you were so obsessed with Foxborough High School. You were scouting your new girlfriend.
to joining Instagram and showing off life with his girlfriend of 2 years.
Look at
Everybody
that.
in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks.
What is he wearing?
Try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
All right. Look, man, I'm just telling you that you got a guy that was the man's man. All right. And as you said, like, stoic to the media and all that. And he turns to jelly for what was a 20-year-old girl. Now here's the other side of that. That 20-year-old didn't look at him and go, oh, this is a hot guy, 70-year-old. She just saw Instagram followers is what she saw. Fame and fortune. You know, everyone's a narcissist today trying to figure out how to get their picture published. And everything about it just is creepy as hell to me. Not terribly surprised by the young girl, but really disappointed in Bill Belichick.
I think it's par for the course. It looks really, really weird, but I mean, these super uber rich guys, they attract young women like this for the very reasons you just talked about. And so Bill Belichick is getting it. It just looks so, it looks like exactly what it is, actually.
Yeah. Both know where both are coming from. You know what he wants, you know what she wants.
Yeah. And there he is sitting there in an interview. He's got a moth-eaten sweatshirt on, and here's this super model that he's with. It's very obvious what she wants and very obvious what he wants. And, you know, hey, I don't know if that actually drives happiness. I don't think it does, but more power to him. I think it looks ridiculous. And what do they talk about, really?
Oh, my God.
Seriously, what kind of things could they possibly have in common?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean, I got to tell you, there is just zero way that I could see myself going down that road, because it would just be absolutely cringy on a daily minute by minute basis.
Also, how does he keep up with her? I mean, she's in her 20s, right? I mean, she wants to go out and go to the clubs and all of this stuff, and he just wants to watch, you know, reruns of Dallas. She doesn't even know what that is.
Yeah, I don't have many words other than disgust for the whole thing. Mostly, I feel like, my God, Bill, it's not you coach. I mean, you're 73. You don't need more money. I mean, he's got zillions of dollars,
right?
Obviously, but he coaches because he loves it. That's his passion,
right?
And he's got 6 Super Bowl rings.
Wow,
and a legacy beyond.
Something.
How do you not respect yourself? Self-respect.
Yeah, you go down that road, like that's so fake. It's so not real.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm judging here, and I'm reading a book by its cover. Maybe there's something behind that. I doubt it.
Yeah,
there is.
I mean, I know I'd be probably the first to say that. Oh, we shouldn't judge. Everyone's different and all that. But dude, this is creepy.
It really is. And I do judge books by their cover. So I think it's not a bad thing to do. Look at that. It seems to jump off the page. But it is creepy, but we've seen creepy out there. These people live a whole different life, and I don't know if they're happy. But I personally think that everybody's looking for that peace of mind. I think our souls are made that way, and I don't think that.
No, right. Well, I mean, at least you could say, well, at least she wasn't 14 when he.
We don't. Maybe that's why she said we're not going to talk about that.
But would it be better if, say, like a 40-year-old woman seduced a 14-year-old boy? Would that be better?
I don't think so. I think that would be just as sick. And we've seen that a bunch of times. Oh my gosh, Barry, you. Are you talking about Macron?
Yes. Yes, I am. Brigitte Macron, the 40-year-old teacher. That was his drama teacher who got involved with Emmanuel, who was reportedly 14 or 15. Now, I'll explain how they play with that age in a minute. The French media and defenders often claim he was 17, likely to soften the public perception. Because they claimed that was the first time they were intimate. So the media wants to use that number. They do everything they can to add one more year onto his, and they keep trying to push her into her 30s at 39 when she was more likely 41 to 42.
Isn't that something?
Now, why do they have such an interest in that? And
well, that's the interesting part to me, is like, why? Because you sent me that information that came out of ChatGPT. I found that to be extremely fascinating.
No, dude, where I originally got it, what got me interested is I was listening. I follow Tim Dillon's podcast. He's a comedian. I really like him. He had Candace Owens on just a few days ago. Candace is the one that's been following all this. And she said she talked about this one time. And I'm paraphrasing a lot here. She basically got a call from their CIA, French CIA, saying cease and desist. Don't talk about this again to Candace Owens. So Candace goes, so I made a series out of it, and I delved into her trans situation.
Yes.
And so reportedly, Brigitte, now I've heard this for a couple of years now. Now she's actually trans. And so it was really, it was really a man that was grooming the 14-year-old boy, which is somehow even creepier. And I had Shaq do that. I had to doctor it up. Yeah.
Okay, I can't even explain what I'm looking at right now.
I know, that's one you got to go to YouTube for.
Right. That's a good one. A nice 5 o'clock shadow.
Now, I'll be honest with you, because I did my own digging after the fact here, and I can't say that I don't think I believe that she's trans.
I don't know. Yeah, I believe anything's possible now,
I do too.
When I look at her, it doesn't jump off the page for me.
Yeah, you're right.
She is odd. Well, let's see that picture on the right. She's kind of attractive there.
Yeah.
But then other pictures, she just looks really weird. I don't know what to think on this. I saw where there was a lawsuit against 2 people that had written that she was trans, and the court came back and she got sued. They got sued for that. But there was no evidence to the contrary that she wasn't transsexual. So, and the fact that their CIA got a hold of Candace here again, this is what we talked about at the beginning: is Candace has we live in America. She has free speech, and here's the French government trying to shut her down. That's interesting.
It is. So the trans thing is kind of like, to me, how everybody likes to throw the gay thing in when they can as well, because it just sounds more perverse and alarming. So I don't know. To me, the trans thing's neither here nor there. But the fact that this 40-year-old woman is seducing, and if you want to call him 15, fine. I'll give you that extra year. That's sick. It's sick. It's grooming.
Now, didn't I read somewhere that the age of consent in France is 15?
That's why they want to get it at 15. Yes.
See that now. But that's weird. That's something I didn't know. That you only got to be 15. I remember when I was 15. I'm a lot different than I am now. I didn't know what was going on in the world, and this poor guy. Now, then you start seeing that this guy is a part of the World Economic Forum. He was groomed to be a part of this. It's what is it, the Young Leaders or whatever they call it, and so this story of these 2 meeting has become romanticized. To the French population
by the government.
So that they used that story actually to promote him. And so any changes to that story actually is an assault on his power structure. Therefore, they are adamant and vehemently against anyone coming up with the story that Candace was trying to tell.
Exactly. And she also used the examples of Trudeau and Zelensky. She says it's more of a globalist kind of technique. Drama and theater students who they can then shape and
look at Adam Schiff. He is a drama guy.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was he wanted to be an actor. And
he should act like something else.
He did not make remember when he was doing the hearings and he was talking about Trump and the letter that he wrote to Zelensky.
He never looked like he was telling the truth once. Ever.
No, he didn't. And he was like, and here's what the letter said. You got a nice country here. See, you wouldn't want to get that messed up. See, and it was just like, dude, what What? It's like one of those old gangster movies that he was
Right.
imitating, and it sucked. He's a terrible actor.
No, God, this guy. Oh, God, that guy. I just don't know about him.
Proving once again that our government is made up of the best of the worst.
Right. I think we should just probably start winding up. I know that you got my curiosity piqued to do more intel.
And we'll follow up on that too. I mean, all this stuff is new stuff. I don't know anything about it. I just started hearing about this. There's something inside of my heart, though, that seems to believe that there's some truth to this.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about us being in a paradigm, which is limiting our imagination and what could possibly happen. So I'm fascinated by it. What do you got there?
It answers a lot of questions. I'm going to just let you watch this like a couple times first, then we'll talk about it, because this is how I came about coming across this last night.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is what fan falls from Roberto Clemente wall during Pirates Cubs game. And this guy did like a triple sow cow.
This is what I mean, dude. When I first saw this and I did this,
3 flips he does before he hits the field.
So I watched
flat on his back.
Yeah, I watched this over and over again, and I thought, you know what? I bet they took like a diver, a professional diver, doing those flips, and they put it on here. And then I went to chat and I looked it up. Like, nope, this just happened a couple nights ago. A terrifying moment that let me just get to the notes on this first, because
holy cow,
I looked it up. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Die? I mean, did he die from that?
I will get the update on that. During the Pittsburgh Pirates versus Chicago Cubs game on April 30th.
2 days ago.
Yeah, PNC Park. A male fan fell approximately 21 feet from the right field bleachers onto the warning track during the 7th inning. Eyewitnesses reported the fan appeared to be intoxicated, had removed his shirt, was pouring beer over himself, enthusiastically reacting to a play. In the process, he unintentionally propelled himself over the railing. Like, dude, that looks so intentional.
Yeah, that didn't look unintentional.
Yeah. Emergency personnel responded quickly. Or you know what? It looks like he just passed out the way he went end over end like that.
He really did look like he was unconscious
before
he hit the ground.
So emergency personnel responded quickly, and the fan was transported to Allegheny General Hospital in critical condition. Incident is currently under investigation. I'll go ahead and look for an update on that, but let's just take a look at the rest of this. I just kept replaying all of that. I don't know if there was sound. There does not seem to be sound with it. But he looks. He looked unconscious going down, if you ask me. And
he really did.
All of the emergency workers are putting him on a stretcher here. Absolutely does not look good. But what I will say about this is this ties all the way back into the upfront part of the episode, where I was talking about, some people, alcohol could be a very, very serious problem. A lot of people are said to have an allergic reaction to it. And this would certainly appear to be a case. And it's just, there are means out there that can help any one of us. And did you look like you were looking for an update?
I was trying to find out if he passed away or not, but I didn't get the right information here.
Well, I guess with that, I'll look it up now and as this publishes, I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, what a terrible thing. I mean,
oh God,
good Lord.
Like I said, when I saw it, I thought it was fake.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was almost, let's see here. As of now, there have been no reports of a fan dying at Wrigley Field. Was that Wrigley?
No.
As of the latest reports, he's still in critical condition.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Well, that'll sober you up.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Let's go out to the ball game and let's drink responsibly.
Oh, it's awful. But what a shocking video.
All right. Well, hey, we've got coming up this weekend is May 4th for all you Kent Staters out there.
Oh,
May
right.
the 4th be with you. And
They won't
of
let
course,
you forget about it.
yeah, no, they won't. But we know the real story. We actually talked about it here on the show. And then you've got the next day, Cinco de Mayo. And
Love Mexican.
Yes, we're having a little Cinco de Mayo thing over here at the house, and it's going to be fun.
That's
But
cool.
do you know, do they actually celebrate Cinco de Mayo in Mexico?
I have no idea. Probably.
Oh, hold on, I'm just going to put that in here in Mexico. Let's see. I don't think that. I think it's. Let's see. Yes, it's observed, but it's not a major national holiday. It's primarily celebrated in the state of Puebla, where the Mexican army achieved an unlikely victory over French forces at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862. Outside of Puebla, Cinco de Mayo is generally a minor civic holiday. Schools may hold ceremonies, so they actually go to school. It's not like 4th of July for them.
Okay, that was a good point.
Like it is for us, but I think it's more of a holiday that we celebrate here in America.
It's like being Irish on St. Patty's Day. It's a good excuse to go out and drink and take a dive off of a baseball bleacher.
Yeah, it's like the Hallmark holidays. Like we have Valentine's and Sweetest Day. This is the Taco Bell holiday.
Ah, that's funny. Well, all I know is Mexican food is my favorite. I love Mexico. I love the culture. I wish we would annex each other and become as one and in a peaceful.
There's a rendition of that battle was right there. You were showing that was kind of cool.
Oh, I lost it, but
it was against the French. One of the Napoleons actually had taken over the area, and interestingly, there was a plan because our Civil War was happening at the time. There was a plan between the French and the English to wait till the Americans beat the hell out of each other and then converge and take over the United States. The English have always wanted their colonies back.
Right.
But then the Cinco de Mayo thing happens, and the French get eliminated from the scene, and things just didn't work out for their dastardly plan.
Right. You know, I may have brought this up before. This really stuck with me. Off the top of my head, I can't remember this guy's name. He does the Historian podcast. Daryl Cooper. I think that's him. Very, very popular. And he was talking about how everybody wants to integrate so much so that, really, in truth, in America, it's just an anti-white movement. But it's in the guise of being a homogenized society. DEI is all part of it and everything. But here's the point. Daryl Cooper made a great point. He goes, that's great. You know what's great about America? That we're a melting pot with all these different cultures and everything. But you do have to agree that the American culture is, at the top priority, is assimilating with our culture. But he goes, but you see, Muslims are taking over Ireland. Like they are almost Muslim right now. It's going to happen. Like all of the UK is on course for that. And he goes, the problem with that? He goes, you know what I call diversity? That's the word I was looking for a little bit ago. Diversity. We're talking about diversity. He goes, what I like about diversity is being able to go to Italy and being immersed in the Italian culture, being able to go to Ireland and being immersed in the Irish culture, go to England, English culture, Spanish, Mexico, Mexican culture. I love that too. Having been to most of the places I just named, that is the beauty of it. I thought about this because when I said, I wish that we would annex Mexico, we could all tear down the walls and live peacefully together, but I want them to retain their culture. I mean, I love Mexico. I love Mexicans outside of the cartel. And America is the only melting pot. At least it should be. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I guess if we go a couple thousand years in the future, if we're still alive, we will all be homogenized because transportation will be nothing.
Well,
But it'll be a shame.
Your points are really good, Barry. And as I think about America being the melting pot, and to this person's point, is that there is an American culture that all of these other cultures assimilate to. That's what's supposed to happen in the melting pot.
Yes.
And so, your idea of getting rid of that southern border, would cause that whole concept to go away. People can come here from other cultures. They need to assimilate into the melting pot culture, but we've got it backwards now, where we're trying to form
there you go,
cultures all over the country that are not cohesive with each other, and we're disuniting. And that's in the spirit of diversity. Diversity shouldn't be dividing us. It should be causing us to come together. But so when they talk about diversity, they're talking about a whole different thing than the melting pot.
It's bastardizing it. Yeah, it's bastardizing.
They've changed the definition is what they've done.
And they're always doing that because at the end of the day, what's been beautiful about America is that all these different cultures come here and get freedom, love it, love America, and do what they can in their family to retain their culture. That's the beauty.
Yes. And then
go to Little Italy and
Oh, you're speaking my heart. I love freedom. I'm talking real freedom here, man. And it's worth fighting for. It's worth even dying for your posterity, right? You want that freedom for your children, your children's children, or really for the rest of society. If you don't have children, you want the country to do well. Yeah. And this is what freedom really is. This is what, when we talk about freedom of speech, it starts there. That's why I wanted to talk about this. All of these freedoms are contingent on freedom of speech. And this is why there's such an attack on freedom of speech. We talked about some of the things that are hidden. And the reason that they're hidden is because if we know these things, then we can actually have real freedom. And there's a battle that's going on, and it's a spiritual battle between freedom and slavery.
I agree with that.
And this is the battle that we're in. Everything is painted on top of that. It starts with our brains, right? And speech and our brains go together. So if we're free in here, we're free indeed. Even if we're in a prison, we can be free. An actual physical prison, we can still be free in our brains. And it starts with freedom of speech. And this is why it's so important. And this is why it needs to be spread across the world to free people that are caught in the captivity of tyranny. That's what's really going on right now. And all of this woke stuff is diluting the truth of what the battle is, so that we're being sidelined, so that the enemy can just shut us down and take over. And we can't afford to sit on the sidelines anymore, Barry. We can't depend on our government to save us any longer, because they're in on it.
They're part of it.
We have to come together as a grassroots organization and link arms together and move forward. I'm actually a part of a group now called Freedom Forever. That is a 501c3 that we're putting together to do exactly that. We've got a 5-point plan to take back our God-given freedoms that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we will have that as long as people are educated and understand what the stakes are. And that's what we're doing on Over 50 Starting Over. And that is our mission, is to help people to have their eyes open so that you're awake and not woke. And that's all I got to say about that.
That's really it. So I'll say with that, we got a hell of an episode coming up next week.
That's right. Well, this was a good one too, Barry.
Yeah. I can't wait I'm going to do some deep diving, and we got a lot to talk about. Hey, stay tuned for Mark's upcoming AI.
Oh, yeah. These are good.
They're always good. And I got next week's too. And next week's, I put the numbers on them so I keep them straight. Next week's Mark's AI, I had to put the number 299 on. We are 1.5 episodes away from number 300.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, man.
That is sweet. Yeah,
Congratulations.
I got this guy, this doctor I want to bring on soon, a nutritionist, and I don't want to screw up. Like, I was thinking maybe next week, but I'm excited about what I want to talk about with you now as of this podcast. But I don't want to bring them on for 300 either.
Yeah,
you know?
300 is special.
Yeah, I don't want to forget.
Okay, I'll be there for that.
All right. Everybody, please sign up at over50startingover.com to our email list. Get all this as it happens. And go to YouTube and subscribe, please, and share. Over 50 Starting Over is our channel. And of course, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, most importantly, Spotify. Please leave us a review. See you next week.
Hello there, Over 50 Starting Over friends. Mark Tennant back with you with your AI tip of the week. This week, AI can teach you practically anything so you become professionally indispensable. Let's get going. We're at a crucial point, folks, with AI. Crucial stage right now. Early 2025 and even late last year, I started noticing a few things in the news. Companies are starting to replace jobs as people leave a company, they retire, whatever, but they're replacing them with AI as much as possible. All without layoffs. We haven't heard anything about any massive layoffs, and they're doing it very quietly right now. Hiring is slow, and businesses are looking for ways to increase productivity without hiring people, to be honest with you. It's happening, and AI has accelerated that trend. So the answer for you is become AI literate right now. Begin today if you have not started your journey to AI literacy. So here are some tips, and hopefully you've been using ChatGPT and AI as much as you can. Remember, AI teaches and provides personal on-demand guidance on any topic. Today, it does it for you, and it can do it for you right now. Unlike learning from a book or taking a college course, AI adapts to your exact questions, and it recognizes and learns your knowledge gaps. As I always say, just talk to the AI, just talk to ChatGPT. So your best approach is begin with an AI learning goal. So what do you want AI to teach you as it relates to your job? So here's a couple of steps. Step 1, ask ChatGPT to break down your job into AI tasks. Step number 2, prioritize those tasks that AI can easily help with first. Step 3, talk to the AI. It will help you automate these tasks. And it's there for you right now, 24/7, 365. So become that AI go-to. Position yourself to be that person when it comes to AI at your company or your business. And the next thing you want to do, you want to learn adjacent skills that align with your role or your job. So, for example, if you're a sales professional, you can ask AI to teach you basic data analysis, so it will help you with your sales pitch. And if you're an administrative staff, HR, or any administrative role, learn process automation to handle those routine tasks and learn it as soon as you can. And establish a weekly AI learning habit, 5 to 10 minutes each morning to learn one thing about AI. And you can subscribe to many free AI newsletters out there that are unique to you and your job. Just start searching online. You'll find them. And then ask ChatGPT, teach me one thing today that would make me better at a specific aspect of your job or your job in general. ChatGPT can be that personal coach. That is a subject for another AI tip of the week. So just remember, AI can assume practically any role. Use it every day, both professionally and personally. You'll be seen as that go-to expert in AI. Learn this stuff. Begin today. And to wrap things up, remember, AI is quietly taking the place of people, not replacing them yet. Start on that path, start on that road to learning AI and work with it every single day. Start today, start right now, and remember, tons of resources are out there for you. So now more than ever, become AI literate, use it every day, take control of your career right now. And speaking of that, learning AI, I've got a good resource for you, my AI After 50 podcast, and you can find it anywhere where you find your favorite podcasts. So until next time, learn AI, do it today, and I'll see you.